The ballroom was a glittering cage, its chandeliers dripping light onto the crowd of New York's elite, their laughter sharp as broken glass. I stood at the center, my fiancée's hand cold in mine, her smile a practiced mask as we toasted our engagement. But then the doors crashed open, and there he was, Elliot Kane, my childhood rival, striding in like he owned the night. His eyes locked on mine with a fire that stopped my heart. I hadn't seen Elliot in 5 years, not since our last explosive fight in college, when words cut deeper than knives and left scars we never spoke of. He was still infuriatingly magnetic tall, broad-shouldered, with dark curls falling into eyes that held secrets I'd spent years trying to forget. The crowd parted as he marched forward, his tailored jacket unbuttoned, tie loose, as if he'd just run across Manhattan to ruin my life. Again. "Julian Hart," he said, voice low but carrying, every syllable a challenge. "You can't marry her." Gasps rippled through the room. My fiancée, Claire, tightened her grip on my arm, her nails biting into my skin. I opened my mouth to protest, to throw him out, but Elliot was faster. He crossed the distance between us in 3 strides, grabbed my face, and kissed me. The world stopped. His lips were warm, desperate, tasting of whiskey and regret. And for one reckless moment, I kissed him back. The crowd erupted shouts, whispers, a glass shattering somewhere, but all I could feel was the heat of his hands, the way his breath trembled against mine. He pulled back, his forehead pressed to mine, and declared, loud enough for every guest to hear, "You're mine, Julian. You always have been." Chaos followed. Claire's face twisted in fury, her ring glinting as she slapped me, the sound echoing like a gunshot. My parents, pillars of New York society, stared in horror, their perfect image crumbling. Friends I'd known for years looked at me like a stranger. And Elliot just stood there, unapologetic, his chest heaving, daring me to deny it. I should have hated him. I'd spent years hating him, his smug grin, his relentless need to one-up me, the way he'd always known exactly how to unravel me. Growing up in the same elite circles, we'd been pitted against each other since we were kids, rival debate captains, competing for valedictorian, fighting for the same internships. Every victory I clawed from him felt like survival. Every loss was a wound. But beneath the rivalry, there was something else, moments of stolen glances, late-night arguments that felt too intimate, a pull I'd buried under ambition and denial. Now, standing in the wreckage of my engagement party, I couldn't bury it anymore. "Get out," I hissed, but my voice cracked, betraying me. Elliot's eyes softened, just for a second, before that infuriating smirk returned. "Not until you admit it," he said. "You feel it too." Claire stormed off, her heels clicking like a countdown. My best friend, Marcus, grabbed my arm, whispering, "Julian, what the hell is going on?" I didn't have an answer. All I knew was that Elliot had just set fire to my carefully constructed life, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to douse the flames or let them burn. The next morning, the scandal was everywhere. Gossip blogs screamed headlines. Hard Air's engagement imploded by mystery man's kiss. My phone buzzed with texts from Claire Worry, Dunn, and my parents, demanding explanations. I sat in my Manhattan apartment, staring at the skyline, replaying that kiss. Why hadn't I pushed him away? Why did my chest ache at the thought of him? Elliot and I had history, tangled and messy. In high school, We'd been inseparable enemies, always one-upping each other, but sharing secrets nobody else knew. Like the night we snuck into the school's rooftop garden, drunk on stolen wine, arguing about philosophy until dawn. He'd looked at me then, his guard down, and said, "You're the only one who gets me." I'd laughed it off, terrified of what it meant. In college, things got worse. A drunken night at a frat party, a kiss we never spoke of, and a fight that ended with him leaving for good. Until now. My doorbell rang. I opened it to find Elliot, leaning against the frame, holding 2 coffees. "We need to talk," he said, like he hadn't just blown up my life. "You've done enough." I snapped, but I let him in. He set the coffees down, his eyes scanning my apartment minimalist. Sterile, a reflection of the life I'd built to please everyone but myself. "You're not happy, Julian," he said, stepping closer. "You never were with her." "You don't get to decide that," I shot back, but my voice wavered. He was too close, his presence overwhelming, like a storm I couldn't escape. "Then tell me I'm wrong," he challenged. "Tell me you love her. Tell me you didn't feel anything last night." I wanted to lie, to shove him out and rebuild the walls he'd torn down. But the truth clawed at me. I'd never loved Claire. Not the way I was supposed to. Our engagement was a transaction, a merger of 2 powerful families, a role I'd played because it was expected. Elliot, damn him, saw through it all. "I hate you," I said, but it sounded like a confession. He smiled, soft and dangerous. "No, you don't." The next week was a war zone. My parents cut me off, their voicemails cold and final. "Fix this, Julian, or you're no son of ours." Claire's lawyers sent papers, demanding I return the engagement ring, a family heirloom worth more than my apartment. The tabloids wouldn't let up, splashing photos of Elliot's kiss across every screen in New York. And Elliot was everywhere, refusing to disappear. He showed up at my office, a sleek skyscraper where I worked as a junior partner in my father's law firm. "Lunch," he said, tossing a takeout bag onto my desk. "You look like you haven't eaten in days. Get out before security drags you out," I said, but I was already opening the bag. He'd remembered my order, pastrami on rye, extra mustard. Damn him. We ate in silence, the city humming below us. Finally, I asked, "Why now, Elliot? Why after all this time?" He leaned back, his expression unreadable. I saw the announcement in the paper. "You and Claire," smiling like you'd won the lottery. It made me sick. Not because of her, but because I knew you were lying to yourself. "You don't know me anymore," I said, but it felt hollow. He didn't know me better than anyone. "I know you're scared," he said. "I know you've spent your life trying to be the perfect son, the perfect lawyer, the perfect fiancé. But you're not perfect, Julian. You're a mess, just like me." I wanted to punch him. I wanted to kiss him. Instead, I threw the sandwich wrapper at him and said, "You're impossible." He grinned. "And you're stuck with me." That night, I went to a bar to drown my thoughts. Marcus was there, loyal as ever, but his questions were sharp. "You never told me about him," he said, nursing a beer. "This Elliot guy, what's the deal?" I stared at my whiskey. the amber liquid swirling like my thoughts. He's complicated. Complicated enough to tank your engagement. Marcus pressed. Look, man, I'm on your side. But you need to figure out what you want. Because that kiss, it didn't look like hate to me. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because Marcus was right. And I wasn't ready to face it. The next day, Elliot texted me, meet me at the rooftop garden. 8 p.m. The place where we'd shared that night in high school. Where everything had felt possible. I shouldn't have gone. But I did. The garden was overgrown now. Wild roses tangling around rusted benches. The Manhattan skyline glittering beyond. Elliot was waiting. His silhouette sharp against the city lights. He didn't turn when I approached. Just said, I used to come here after we fought. To think about you. My heart stuttered. Why are you doing this? Elliot. You could have stayed away. You could have let me live my lie. He turned. His eyes fierce. Because I love you. You idiot. I've loved you since we were 16. Arguing over stupid debate points. I loved you when you hated me. When you kissed me in college and then ran. I'm done pretending. His words hit like a tidal wave. I stepped back. My breath shallow. You can't just say that. You can't just barge into my life and I'm not asking for permission. He said, stepping closer. I'm asking you to be honest. For once. I wanted to run. To hide. To cling to the safety of the life I'd built. But standing there, with Elliot's gaze stripping me bare, I couldn't lie anymore. I'm scared. I admitted. My voice barely a whisper. I don't know how to do this. He reached for my hand. His touch steady. Then let me show you. The weeks that followed were a reckoning. I moved out of my apartment, crashing on Marcus's couch while I figured out my next steps. My parents refused to speak to me, their silence louder than any argument. The firm sidelined me, whispering about reputational risks. But for the first time, I didn't care. Because Elliot was there, relentless and real, pulling me into a world where I didn't have to pretend. We spent nights walking through Central Park, talking about everything we'd buried, our fears, our dreams, the years we'd wasted hating each other. He told me about his life after college, how he'd traveled, started his own tech company, tried to forget me. It didn't work, he said, his hand brushing mine as we sat by the Bethesda fountain. You were always there. I told him about the pressure of being a heart, the expectations that had choked me since childhood. I thought marrying Claire would fix me. I said, make me normal. You are normal, he said fiercely. You're just you. And that's enough. But it wasn't easy. The world wasn't kind to us. Strangers stared, whispered, judged. An old college friend cornered me at a coffee shop, sneering. So you're with him now? Good luck with that. I wanted to shrink, to disappear. But Elliot was there, his hand on my back, his presence a shield. One night, we went to a queer bar in Brooklyn, a place pulsing with life and freedom. I'd never been somewhere like it, where people loved openly, unapologetically. Elliot pulled me onto the dance floor, his arms around me, and for the first time, I felt free. We danced until we were breathless, laughing, kissing, the world fading away. But reality crept back. My father called, his voice ice cold. You're throwing your life away for him. You'll regret this. I hung up, my hands shaking. But Elliot was there, pulling me close. You don't need them, he said. You've got me. The turning point came at a charity gala, one I'd been invited to before the scandal. I went, against my better judgment, with Elliot by my side. The room buzzed with whispers as we entered, heads turning, eyes narrowing. I felt exposed, raw. But Elliot's hand in mine was an anchor. Claire was there, her gaze venomous. She approached, her voice dripping with disdain. You're making a fool of yourself, Julian. And for what? Him. Before I could respond, Elliot stepped forward, his voice calm but cutting. He's happier with me than he ever was with you. And you know it. She flinched, and for the first time, I saw her mask crack. I realized then that she'd known maybe not about Elliot, but about the lie we'd both been living. I'm sorry, I said to her, meaning it. I should have been honest. She walked away, and the crowd's whispers grew louder. But I didn't care. I turned to Elliot, my heart pounding, and said, I love you. He froze, then smiled, the kind of smile that lit up the world. Took you long enough. We left the gala hand in hand, the night air cool against our skin. Outside, under the stars, he kissed me, slow and certain, and I knew I'd made the right choice. The world might judge us, might try to break us, but we were stronger than their whispers. Months later, we stood together in that rooftop garden, now restored, roses blooming brighter than ever. Elliot proposed, not with a ring, but with a promise, I'll fight for you. Always. I said yes, not because it was expected, but because it was true. Our love wasn't perfect. It was messy, fierce, born from years of rivalry and pain. But it was ours, and it was enough. In a world that demanded we conform, we chose each other, and that was the greatest victory of all.